my crafty friends. Welcome to Wednesday on the Hook part 1 of the Checkerboard. I am so excited about this project, and I hope you are too, as we create some family fun with or for the kiddos or the grandkids, or just some fun friend time to hang out with friends and just have some laughs and some checkers. So if you're ready to get your hooks working and busy, then meet me over at the craft table. So let's begin looking at a few items that you will need in order to get started with making your checkerboard. Before we start, I'm just going to show you a quick picture of what our checkerboard is going to kind of look like. Now, this pattern was done using a purple and an orange. You can use any two colors that you want to use, any combination of colors. For today's tutorial, I'm going to use our standard red and black. So the black that I'm using is a Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo. It is a medium 4 weight, and it is 100% acrylic, machine wash and dry, and it is just a standard black. All right, the red I'm using is going to be some scraps that I have, but it is, just so you know, a Red Heart Super Saver as well. It is also a 4 medium weight, and it is also 100% acrylic, and somewhere it will say and there it is, machine wash and dry. Okay, it is a cherry red. So I'm going to put that to the side because I'm going to use up some scraps that I have in that color. You will need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, a stitch marker for each strip that you're making, we are using an H 5.0 millimeter hook and a little bit of lotion to moisten the hands. When you have all that, then we can get started. I am going to show you a sample piece so you'll know what to expect. And here is a sample of what we're going to work up. Since this piece starts with a red, we want to alternate our pieces. So the piece we're going to start with is going to start with the black. So if you'll get your black yarn ready, we'll go ahead and get started. We are going to make a total of 8 strips today. 4 will start off with the color red and 4 will start off with the color black. We are going to start off with this tutorial using black. We will do 4 sections of each of our 2 colors to complete our strip. So if you're ready to get started, grab your black yarn, and we're going to create our slip knot, however you need to do that. And we are going to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And there is your little chain. We are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we're going to skip this first one. We're going to go up under just the top loop, and we're going to single crochet into that second chain from the hook, And then we're going to simply single crochet all the way across that strip. So when we're done, we will have a total of 7 single crochets. And 4, 5, 6, and 7 right there in that last chain. All right, I like to tighten my work. And there's our first little strip, first row for our strip. All right, so we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn, and we're going to single crochet across, and we're going to do that 6 more times. So we're going to single crochet, chain 1, turn, single crochet across, chain 1, turn, until we have a total of 7 rows. So go ahead and work the remaining 6 rows, and I will meet you when you get to the end of your 7th row. And just a quick reminder, when you are single crocheting into your foundation chain, you want to just single crochet into the top loop only, so that when you create a border around the checkerboard, that you'll have the 2 strands to work with going around creating the border. But once you get to your 2nd rows and move on up the project, you will always work under, let me get this turned so I can show you. You'll always work under those top 2 stitches that create a V. Okay, hope you can see that. So you'll go under both those stitches, and it's hard to see with this black, especially black on black. But there's my V, or my 2 strands that create like a V. Well, I will meet you at the end of your 7th row. When you get to the end of your 7th row and you have your last stitch, go ahead and insert your hook and pull up a loop, but do not finish it off. So it should look like that with 2 loops on your hook. Then go ahead and grab your alternate color, whichever color it was that you chose, and you're going to loop it on your hook, and you're going to pull it through those 2 loops. You're going to yarn over both your tail and your working yarn. You're going to yarn both of them over on the hook, pull it through, then pull your black working yarn, pull it tight, pull your red yarns tight, drop the tail, pick up the working yarn, and chain 1. And then just kind of pull and secure all your work down. Then you can go ahead and trim off your black yarn. Just leave enough to weave in. And then grab your stitch marker. And we're going to just place this stitch marker somewhere on the work so we know that this is the front of our work. This is what is called the right side. This is the side that we're going to want facing up, that the game is actually going to play on. So let's get started with the next color. When we attached our red yarn, or whatever color you used, we chained 1. That's going to count as the very first single crochet. So go ahead and turn your work. So we're going to go on to the next stitch, and we're just going to single crochet across. So our chain 1 is going to count as our first stitch. We're going to put 6 stitches in, and that's going to keep us with that 7 stitches across. Chain 1, turn your work, and then you're just going to keep working your 7 single crochets across, chain 1, turn, until you have a total of 7 rows using your 2nd color. Again, when you get to the last stitch of the 7th row, I will meet up with you there. And when you get to the end of the 2nd row, as you start alternating your colors, Sometimes it's a little bit tricky trying to get in there just because of your join. But just work your hook in there until you get it through. Okay, I will see you at the end of your 7th row when you're at the very last stitch. When you finish your 7th row and you're at the very last stitch, go ahead and insert your hook, pull up a loop. Do not finish that single crochet. Go ahead and grab your original first color, loop your yarn onto the hook. Make sure you're leaving enough for a little bit of a tail to weave in. Go ahead and pull that through. Yarn over both your tail and your working yarn. Secure it down and grab just the working yarn, drop the tail, and chain 1. So then go ahead and pull all of your tails to tighten your work down. You can go ahead and cut off your red yarn or your second color. And then if you'll notice, you're starting to have quite a few tails developing. You'll end up with 2 tails per square. So if you're one who doesn't like weaving in your tails, then you might want to go ahead and do them as you work along on your project. You can weave them in as you're creating your single crochets. So you just need to do what works best for you. So I'm going to take a few minutes to weave in my tails and I'll be right back. I'm going to weave this last tail in with you. This is the one that I had just cut. So I am going to just, and I always like to weave my tails in on the back side of my work. So I'm going to pull up a loop and just kind of tug that down, because if you'll remember, we just kind of did a half single crochet and then cut our work. So after I've kind of secured that like that with the loop, then you're going to come and you're just going to work through. If I can get my needle in there. There we go. A couple of those top loops, and I like to, where they create like a V, I just like to work under those top loops and just go under a few of them. And then skip over the last one I came out under and then just work my way back. And then just trim off that excess. Then you're going to work this square just like you have the previous 2. So again, since we chained 1 there, we're going to count that as a stitch, the single crochet right here in this first stitch. So we're going to move to the second one and go ahead and single crochet and do that all the way across. So you're going to continue making your strip, alternating your 2 colors. You will have in your strip 4 squares of your first color and then 4 squares of your second color. So again, let me bring the sample piece over. So here's where I started. So I have 1 red, 1 black, 2 red, 2 black, 3 red, 3 black, 4 red, and 4 black. Okay. When you get to the last stitch on your 8th square, which is the 4th square of your second color, do not fasten off, and I will meet you there. So go ahead and continue making your strip, alternating your 2 colors, 7 rows of single crochet, and I will meet you at the very last stitch of your 8th square, 4th square of your second color. All right, so we're at the end of our strip. We're on the very last color. We have 1 stitch left. So we're going to work that final single crochet and we're going to chain 1 And then you want to take your working yarn and create a tail. Take it down the length of your strip and then work it back upside the length of your strip. And then go ahead and cut it off. Pull that chain one all the way through and secure your work. And this is going to give you a working tail to sew your strips together. So you want to make 7 more of these strips, but you want to alternate them. You'll want to make 3 more that start with the black and end in the red, and then you'll want to make 4 that start with the red and end in the black. And again, just like with your black one, you want to create a long working tail so that you'll be able to sew your strips together. So that is going to finish up this tutorial. You need to make a total of 8 strips, 4 again starting with the black and 4 starting with the red. Next week we will come together for part 2, where we will assemble our strips to create our checkerboard. We will put a border around our checkerboard and we will create our checkerboard pieces. The following week for part 3, we will create a carrying case to carry our checkerboard and our checkerboard pieces in. Have a great week making your strips, and I will see you next Wednesday for part 2 of the checkerboard. Bye.